What's going on, y'all? We are back to Whip and AK Show featuring Big Pack on 106.1 FM, WAKT Toledo's community radio station. Now, y'all know I get really geeked when I have wrestlers on the show. But see, this guy here, I've been watching this man for years. He even knows my guy, Handsome Johnny Bradford. I
Yeah.
want to talk about this man real quick. This man is a wrestling legend. He has put the boots on and been doing this thing for many, many years. And to be honest, he's a Hall of Famer also. Detroit, Michigan, Metro Detroit's own, and even from my original hometown, Dearborn, my guy, Rhino. What's going on, man?
Hey, well, thanks for having me. Nothing, just get ready for AEW, Wednesday, Thursday. And it's going to be my first time ever in AEW ring and All Elite Wrestling. It brings the action and, legends and men and women that have just really made a staple in wrestling. And it's great to be part of it. Yeah. So.
And I'm glad you talked about that because I want to make sure everybody knows AEW, All Elite Wrestling, will be at the Masonic Temple for Dynamite and Collision, two big shows. So if you ain't got your tickets yet, you already know what to do. Go to AEWTix.com and grab them. But like Brian just said, he's doing a special appearance. I mean, it's his hometown. You had to be there, right?
Yeah, it's just it's something special, and not only to myself, but to wrestling fans when they can be part of some history. There's a lot of history that takes place in AEW wrestling and wrestling in general, and local sports teams and stuff like that. So just something so meaningful. Another thing I love about AEW is ticket prices are very affordable. They start off at $25, and when we all come together, not only as a community but as a family too. And it's memories that will last forever. Because I remember, when the first time I ever heard someone say, my dad took me down to Kobo to watch a Sheik, to watch Bobo, and as their eyes lit up, and it was just it was cool because here they are 40 years later having that memory, and they feel like a child again. So that's what we do, and definitely that's what AEW does. So, and it's just some action that you don't see anywhere else.
And that's such a wonderful thing, like you said, bringing families together. That's what pro wrestling does, and that's definitely what All Elite Wrestling does, man.
Yeah, and
But
plus to have it at the Masonic Temple, it's one of the things I had on my bucket list to wrestle there, and especially to do it with AEW. I mean, there's two checks right there, and not one night, but two nights. If you can't go Wednesday, go. I know people that are going both nights, so that's how excited they are.
I'll definitely be there both nights myself, man.
Yeah. Well, we'll be lucky to make history both nights. So
I'm glad you touched on that, man. I want to bring something up real quick, and I want you to talk about this real quick. I just stated before, you are in a Wrestling Hall of Fame, but there was something in your speech that you stood out and said. You said, even though I'm in the Hall of Fame, it ain't over for me yet. You remember saying that, and now you're in AEW. Like, did you already know it was time to take over a whole nother world?
Well, the thing is, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been very blessed, and my health has been great. And as far as a lot, I think my body was built to be in wrestling and to take the abuse, and that's why we remind kids don't do it at home, because it's very difficult and stuff like that. So, and especially some of the stuff the younger wrestlers are doing nowadays, I'm just so impressed, and just so it's one of those things when I meant it's not over with, because I have a lot to give back to the younger men and women wrestling, to produce, to this and that, and in whatever fashion I'm involved in wrestling, whether it's producing, whether it's going out in the ring and opening match, or hey, they might need someone in the tag match. I know it's not about me. And I know this 30 years in the wrestling business, I might not be someplace for a long time, but I'm there for a good time. And it's guys, you get back and you help find that next Edge, or Adam Copeland, next Christian Cage, Moxley. It's just and to help the young men and women. And when you hear Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker say, I was a mentor, because I remember trying to help her out, and but the real work goes into the individual. So it's very rewarding. So that's something that's very important to me. So
For sure, man. You just talked about your guys, Adam Copeland
yeah.
and Christian, man.
And we haven't been in, and you know what? Maybe not this week. Maybe this week, maybe, Wednesday, maybe Thursday, we might all be in the ring together. I'm not, going to say anything, and I don't know, but that's the first time we've been in the ring together in a very long time. And especially in Detroit, we had a lot of going back years on the independent scene. So
Mhm.
if it's going to happen, it'd be a great place to happen. So
Shout out to the
Christian might
Wired
actually get cheered for once.
Shout out to the Wired Frog. That was the very first time I ever saw you many years ago, right here
Oh, really?
in the Metro Detroit area, man.
Yeah.
With that being said, you kind of talked about it. We talked about Adam Copeland and Christian and
Mhm.
yourself. 30 years in the business, having such longevity, but seeing guys like yourselves still doing your thing. You know how I was back in the day. They try to put people to pasture at 30 years
Yeah.
old. And now
Right.
you guys are still working and going hard. Talk to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's how you take care of yourselves,
Mhm.
and it's working with promotions that, the wrestling business has changed. And one of the things that I really love about AEW and Tony Khan is not only for his passion for wrestling and the direction he's taken All Elite Wrestling, but how he really, really cares about the talent, and how I've seen him take care of some families and stuff, and he didn't have to. But it's just one of those things. And I actually seen him in the locker room at TNA. Christian Cage came over to wrestle, and I actually told him, I go, man, that speaks a lot about your character,
Yeah.
and if you care about your employees, because at the end of the day, that's what we are. Um, we're talent, we're employees, but we also have families, and to know someone that is at the head of the wheel, that's steering the ship, cares that much, it speaks volume. And I think that's a lot of the fans see that. That's what they're another reason why they're drawn to AEW wrestling. So and rightfully so.
For sure, man. I like to hear that. And you talked about giving back to the business, whether it be in the wrestling form, producing, being an agent, anything. But there's a lot of heavy hitters in All Elite Wrestling right now.
Yeah.
If you were to pick up, give me 3 or 4 guys you would like to mix it up. I'm gonna tell you one myself: Rhino versus Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah.
Just count money. Just count money, man.
Yeah. Moxley,
Yeah.
I've never really mixed it up with him. And maybe Adam Copeland or Christian Cage, or I remember the first time they wrestled, and I took a lot of the students and we went to a Hooters. Hey, that's what us veterans do. We say, hey, this is where we see it all the time. But anyways, and we watched it, and it was such a great match. I mean, it blew my mind. And there, obviously Christian went over, and I don't know, if you remember that match, but it was just a match that really is, you can study it. And um just so I'd have to say that. And both of them are on top of their game.
Mm-hmm.
I watch them and I'm blown away. But the talent really takes care of themselves, and they've always taken care of themselves. They never went out partying and stuff like that. And so, and it shows. And I'm just trying to think now. Tony Storm, I would not want to get in the ring with her. So I
Woo-hoo!
know you were talking
Timeless.
about guys, but she's tough. She looks so. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, there's a countless, talent there. So
For sure. Now, real quick before we get out of here, I do want to touch on this because you kind of spoke to it already. Tony Khan and his respect and love for the employees. Obviously,
yeah.
there's been a lot of narrative about Tony Khan, but one thing I've always noticed, he's at dang near every single show, coming out,
Mhm.
talking to the fans, getting them hyped up. Just
Yeah.
working with a guy like Tony Khan, what would you talk about that a little bit more, please?
Yeah, just the fact that he cares about the wrestling fan, the promotion, the men and women that wrestle for AEW. Um, that's his company, so they wrestle for him. Um, and just the passion, because as a wrestling fan, and I still consider myself a wrestling fan, I have such a passion for it. And I was talking to my girlfriend the other day and I said, "Hey, listen, I go, there's a lot of wrestling. I go, if we get married, now we can't get married on this day because there's this show and that show and this." I go, you might have a day here. And then I realized there's wrestling on. So I go, I think it would have to be, late at night and we might get married in the chapel of love. So, but she kind of thought I was joking, but I was pretty serious. So, but my passion and the reason why I say that, but I'm kind of joking, but I don't like to take a day off of wrestling because
Mhm.
that is my life, and I get excited about it. And when I have to drive 10 hours, I don't care because once I get there, I know I'm going to wrestle for the fans and they just there's an attachment with myself and the fans. And I think because they see the independent shows I do, everywhere I go, I work hard. Even if I'm beat up, I give it 110%. Whether I'm producing behind the scenes and then wrestling the very next match, it's 110%. I try to hit a home run, and they know that every time you're up to bat, you're not going to hit a home run, So, but you try your best and you do your best, and it's just a great connection. So, but anyways, I don't know if I answered the question. I go off into
No,
little rants here and there. So
hey, you're Rhino. Do your thing, man. Do your thing.
yeah. So
Real quick before we get out of here, tell these people one more time why they should make sure they're at the Masonic Temple for AEW Dynamite and Collision.
history, history. Not only with all the great talent in AEW, um, it's my first time stepping foot in an AEW ring, and it's in a venue, awesome venue for pro wrestling,
Mhm.
and it's an awesome venue that I've always wanted to wrestle in. So it's one of those things you're almost stepping into history because the Masonic Temple is a historical place in Detroit. And then with All Elite Wrestling, and then, my hometown. So, I mean, you're going to see so much great stuff, and it's on TBS. And that's another great thing about AEW. They signed a multi-year deal with
Mhm.
TBS, or they'll be aired on TBS. So it's just a great relationship. And they're into their sixth year, and such a great time, not only in wrestling, but in AEW and the history. And hopefully one day I'll be able to perform long enough and give back in AEW where when it is time and they have a Hall of Fame, I'm put in the Hall of Fame. That would be very meaningful for me.
Sounds good, man. You guys heard him. Make sure you come. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We can't leave just yet. It's one more thing I like to do on this show. Rhino, it's a segment I call the mark out moment. And when I
Okay.
say mark out moment, I'm not saying you go screaming like a little child, but that you've had a long, great career. But has there ever been one moment that even you as Rhino were like, damn, I can't believe this is my moment? Like whether a celebrity knew you that you were like, how in the world does Magic Johnson know me? Or just a
Yeah.
moment in the ring, you were like, man, this is amazing. Or any moment like that. Rhino, what was your mark out moment?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I was just leaving the gas station. I was heading to get ready for the Zoom meeting and grabbed an energy drink. And when a guy comes up and he goes, "Are you Rhino?" And I say, "Yeah." And I mark out because of all my hard work. And I remember when I met like Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins for the first time he came to, I'm like, wow, he knows who I am, or I talked to him. And he gave me a brief moment of time. And for the next week I was on cloud nine. So I mark out when fans, they're like, "Are you Rhino?" And then, "Can I get a picture?" And I spend a little time with them. So because I know I made their day, or and I'm not trying to be arrogant in saying that, but all my hard work has given them, that moment to, wow, I just met him. They're calling their buddy, they're posting it online, and wow, that was cool. you know, so I mark out over that when I can give that to someone, you know, and it's because of the hard work, and not only my hard work, but the fans showing up, cheering, or when I was a bad guy booing. So I think that's a very special thing that we can do. So, but we've all done this together. I'm not the only one in my career. So if the fans weren't booing me or cheering for me, whatever I was a babyface more than I was a heel. So it wouldn't be, you know, I wouldn't be here. So.
Love to hear that, man. I want to say this from me.
Oh, but
And
I
all,
also want
wait,
to
wait.
one. I also um, now that you mentioned it, um, like one person I want to really meet is Shaquille O'Neal. That's
Seriously.
I've never ran into him. Like I would seriously like, you know, I'd get giddy.
You know he's a
And
wrestling guy, right?
oh, I know he's undefeated in AEW.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't want to break that record or anything. I
Ah,
just, you know, and then so yeah, like I
no,
just
no, no.
I I almost met him one time because like whether it's his movies or I remember when he was coming up in the NBA and he just seems like like a good person. Like you could his kind soul comes across whether he's doing an interview or something and one time we were in a meeting and he just peeked his head in to congratulate us and there was a pillar
Yeah,
and this was I think '04, and I go, who was that? They go, Shaquille O'Neal. And I'm like, oh, you know, I'm like, because we were in Cleveland. And so one day I'd like to at least say hi to him. And if he knew who I was, which being a big wrestling fan, I hope he knows who I am. I I just blow my mind because you know,
that's
it's
so
just
sweet.
I'm
That's so
some kid,
awesome, man.
you
Even
know.
though I'm
So
telling you, just because you said that, I'm gonna make the caption, Rhino wants to gore Shaq. No, I'm joking.
no, don't do that. Don't
So
do that. I want to tag with him. How's that in
for sure,
AEW?
man.
Yeah,
Thank you again, Rhino, for joining the
thank you.
show. You guys heard it. Make sure you get the Masonic Temple May 7th and 8th in Detroit, Michigan. AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision. See all the All Elite Wrestling Superstars and a special appearance by our own Rhino from right here in Detroit. Y'all know what to do. Stay locked in right here. The Whip and AK Show featuring Big Pack on 106.1 FM, WAKT, Toledo's community radio station.